Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second season of Dr. Velma Talks. This is another episode that is addressing godly dating, relationships, and marriage. It's a Conversations with Me, a media personality podcast host of Dr. Velma Talks, as well as Finding Your Voice podcast. And I'm the co host of Words I Choose to Live By, which is returning next week. I'm a best-selling Christian author with about 25 titles out now, and 19 are bestsellers. And I'm a professional speaker as well as a trainer. I'm a certified dating and relationship coach, ordained minister, as well as a woman that's been blessed to be married over 50 years. So I'm grateful for that. For season 2, I promised you we would dive into 8 of the characters from my Catch series. And we're going to be addressing characters in book 3, which is the book that I wrote for men in response to my male readers who wanted to know about the wrong women to date. So book 4 is full of female characters, and we're going to be addressing a few things about them. But first, I want to give you a little preview of what a SWOT analysis means. SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. And it's been very interesting. The first 4 that we did on the female characters in the Catch series, this time we're addressing the men and why they're choosing the women that they choose. So the S stands for strengths, which is the positive attributes and qualities of the person. Weaknesses, weaknesses. These are the internal factors or issues that may hinder or pose challenges to their relationship decisions. And opportunities, these would be external factors or circumstances that can enhance or benefit the relationship if applied properly. And then T represents threats. These are the external challenges or risks that could negatively impact their relationship. So strengths, what you do well in the relationship. Weaknesses, areas for improvements, are your vulnerabilities or opportunities where you can improve or strengthen your relationship. And threats, those external risks that will cause you problems. So notice it doesn't say what's right or wrong, but it gives you kind of an analysis of the things you need to look at, especially if you already know there are some things wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin at least this episode, the next episode. I can't promise you all the episodes would do this, but at least the next 2. We're going to be addressing the narcissistic women or characters in the book. There's at least 4. And not that I would specifically address each and every one, but just over an overall view of why men in the stories chose these narcissistic women. And just so that you know, they're found in the 3rd book, the blue book, which is The Wrong Catch. She'll tear down the house, based on Proverbs 14b. And we're going to be covering the vampire bat as one character found in chapter 6. Chapter 7, there's the firefly, found in chapter 7, and then chapter 8, there's the narcissistic mother, and chapter 4, the people pleaser. People might find her not appropriate for the narcissistic category, but she is, because she's a controller and manipulator. So that's chapter 9. We may not address necessarily the narc mother, but we definitely are going to be addressing the other 3. So it's important for us to know that the firefly, the vampire bat, the people pleaser, and the narc mother are all narcissistic personalities. And why this is important is because most of the time we hear about narcissistic men, but we don't hear a lot about narcissistic women, but they're out there. And you'll find that it's interesting how the men fell into the pattern of falling in love with such a woman. And I usually say in my conversation, stop falling in love with what you see. Wait to fall in love with what you discover about the person, their qualities, those characteristics that you know will last. But what you see, many of those things are what I refer to as conditions. Things you see for now can be gone later. But I've talked about that before. I'm not going to go over it much again. But for the man, guys, this is for you. Why do men focus on attraction and are not successful? Because they can't get past the woman's beauty, what she looks like. And so in turn, they overlook the dangers that she possesses, the negative qualities, and of course, her narcissistic behavior in those relationships. In the stories, the men who are telling their story at the male conference, these are guys telling the other men the mistakes they made when they met these women. And most of them will admit, at least in the stories, they fell in love with what they saw, not in what they tried to discover about her. So let's look at what causes a man to fall in love with a narcissistic woman. So the first thing we said was he overlooks getting to know her characteristics, getting to know who she really is deeper than what he sees. So the strength that he has, openness to growth, willingness to learn from relationships and improve dating discernment. He's ambitious, has drive, motivated to pursue success. So he has that. His communication skills are often good and having conversations, making connections, because many of these women can be successful women. And his confidence and self-belief, he believes in his value and has healthy standards over time and appreciation for achievement. He values what she's been able to achieve and accomplish. So he's mesmerized by that as well. But here are his weaknesses. Charm-based misjudgment, early influenced by charisma and charm, which is what narcissistic women will use. They will pour on the charm, dress the part, and look extremely successful and beautiful so that you don't have time to think about her characteristics. You're just mesmerized by what you see. Her status, all masking the red flags about herself. Over idealization, she tends to romanticize success and beauty, minimizing the warning signs. So he's mesmerized by what he sees. So he can't see the red flags, not paying any attention to them. So struggles to assert needs or enforce boundaries when his feelings are so strong. And that's why you keep your feelings in check in the beginning. And that is what I say to both the men and the women. Stop falling in love with what you see. Please try to discover some credible qualities that you can fall in love with. That's what you want to wait to fall in love with, is the qualities that you find and discover. And so as a result of what he's looking at, he discounts the red flags that are right there in front of him. He tends to rationalize narcissistic behavior. She's just stressed. Really? This will change. Really? Last time I looked at something red, it stayed red for a reason. It's red on purpose. Dependency risk. Hopes that fame or beauty will fix personal insecurities or past hurts or leading to an imbalance. He just thinks that her looks will take care of everything. Wrong. It won't. Matter of fact, it will hurt eventually. So I want to stop there because we're going to get into red flags next time. And let me get to Chi for threats. I'm not going to go over the opportunities because I think it's important that we focus on what's negative about this. 1, narcissistic manipulation in many cases is referred to as gaslighting. I'm hearing people talking about setting boundaries, incorrectly being used. People are talking about gaslighting, incorrectly being used. But gaslighting is what people do psychologically, manipulating someone who's questioning to get them to the point where they question their own sanity or their own reasoning or their own beliefs. So the threats are manipulation, gaslighting, love bombing, financial control, isolation, all of the same things that we see in a male narcissist. Emotional and financial risk, potential depleting of self-esteem and resources. In the story, the woman made more than the man in this particular story. And so therefore she controlled him through the finances. Reputation and safety concerns, public scrutiny or escalation in conflicts, risk of gaslighting, undermining confidence, repetition of trauma patterns, reproducing past relationship dynamics, and making future dating harder. Physical risk in extreme cases, escalation or coercive or abusive behavior. It can get to that point. And so therefore, at some point, we need to talk about the red flag that he does not pay any attention to. Let me just read to you an excerpt. That's part of the SWOT analysis. I read to you the S, the strengths, which are the positives, weaknesses, and the threats. Next time I'll go over the opportunities, but I'll go over all 4 of those categories in just a moment. In chapter 6, Pastor Grayson says to the men at the conference, let me describe a narc woman as we will address 4 of them. In your package, you'll see the description of a narc woman. These women have a sneaky behavior men don't pay attention to as a red flag. It is because most assume a narcissist is always a man. However, I want you to hear me when I say these are narcissistic women. There are narcissistic women too. In the woman's case, they appear to show care and concern, which is simply a disguise. This woman is a schemer and plans out her steps to establish control over you. This character will pour on affection and love until she cuts it off, leaving you to grab onto whatever scraps you can get. This character regularly tells lies. She will abuse your finances, become increasingly possessive, and make every effort to make sure you feel guilty and not her. The only goal she has is to be greedy and selfish because of what she wants. It is her priority, her goal, to satisfy her own needs. It's never about you. A narc woman is the queen of the blame game and will make you feel as though she is the victim to whatever happens, especially times when your innocence is clear. She always strives to be the center of attention and will act entitled to feed off your admiration and your praise. You'll see the signs of a master manipulator found inside your folder, is what Pastor Grayson says. Be aware of guilt tripping, where you are constantly being tricked into doing something by making you feel guilty if you don't. Then there is her need for isolation by pulling you away from family and friends. Therein lies another red flag. This is so you become dependent on her for all your emotional support. Again, making those things the center of all your attention. So now let's recap. She's a schemer who wants control, is sneaky, fakes any expression of caring or concern, can pour on affection and love, possessive, abuses finances, acts innocent, makes you feel guilty, greedy, selfish, queen of blame game, plays the victim, loves being the center of attention, feels entitled, feeds on admiration, likes isolation. And he says to the guys, remember the letters capital R.E.D, red, which means retreat, extremely dangerous. Don't ignore the red flags. I hope this helped you today, guys. This is the beginning of our conversation around narcissistic women and why men fall in love with them and why they get tricked into dating and even in some cases marrying them. This is found in the fiction story of Book 3, The Wrong Catch, She'll Tear Down the House. That's based on Proverbs 14:1b. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dr. Velma Talks. For those of you listening in, you can always reach out to me at drvelmabagby.com. Make sure you stay connected with me. I'm on all social media platforms. And please continue to enjoy the Catch series. Thank you all for listening. Have a wonderful day.